Today we're going to discuss some of the mantras, principles, and strategies that I live by. These are not necessarily the only things. There's lots of different things you could put into these categories, but these are the things that have been most impactful over the past couple seasons and the current season that I'm in. First one, do hard things, make yourself uncomfortable. This is important because I'm dyslexic and I've always had to require myself to do difficult things. If you're gonna be successful, you're gonna have to do things that are difficult or just make you uncomfortable. There's no way you're gonna get to success without doing hard things. Even personally, inside of different arenas outside of business, I've always required myself to do hard things. Being dyslexic, you analyze information a little differently, and so you're gonna have to have a higher standard than the average person. Don't do your best, do what's required to get the job done. Second one, question everything. Growing up with older brothers, also growing up in a very religious setting, I built this skill to question everything. Some of it is a little bit of a personality trait, but you can also train that muscle. You can just about train yourself for any skill. So the importance of questioning everything is not just to be disagreeable. There's a lot of benefit in being disagreeable, but the main purpose in questioning everything is to make sure that you're pursuing the right thing. There's a lot of things in life that we do because we watch other people do them or someone else told us to do it. A great example is a lawyer or a doctor. They may say something that you may take as truth, but it may not be true. How many times has a doctor specifically said something that maybe wasn't quite right, or a lawyer gave you advice within a business, but they don't have all the context of what's going on? They're a smart person, they went to school, got the degree, but did they critically analyze the information that they're talking to you about? So question everything, push back, and make sure that you're heading in the right direction. Third thing, kind of ties into the previous one, but try to be right. But before you say you're right, try to prove yourself wrong. The importance in this is that you want to have the most accurate information you can, and you want to analyze your thought process in the things that you're doing to make sure that they're accurate. If you're changed or you're tossed to and fro by the people around you in what they're saying, you're never going to be productive. You need to have some conviction on what you're doing, but before you can have good, solid conviction within yourself, you need to have the confidence that you've already done the hard work of analyzing what's right and what's wrong. Now, you also need to listen to what the people are saying and critically analyze it, goes back to the previous thing, and make sure that the perspective that you have, it's fine if it's not conventional. Breaking conventional wisdom can be great sometimes, but you have to make sure that you're not just being arrogant or bullheaded. You have to make sure that what you're believing and the things that you're pursuing are accurate. Successful people pursue the correct things, not just the common things. 4, ignore negative people. I don't like it when people try to minimize what I'm doing or what I've done. I've heard it said that people want you to be successful, just not more successful than them. I've been around people who are like, hey, take some more time off or this or that. And it's like, I'm doing what I love. I don't want to take time off. I want to continue to do what I'm doing. I want to do more of it. I want to find space to do more of what I love. Life is full of hardships. Life is suffering, as Jordan Peterson would say. And you have to find solutions for those hurdles in your life, not sit around and complain about them. You have to find a way to overcome. Life is about winning and being strong and creating excess value. What I don't like is when people are trying to tell me to stop pursuing my dreams. Stay away from negative people and be around people who are going to encourage you and tell you to pursue and rally you around the things that are important to you. 5, being different is a strength. Being dyslexic, we're in the 10th percentile. That means that we're different than 90% of everyone else. I used to have a friend that would say, escape mediocrity. And that's so good because we don't want to be like everyone else. There's all different types of categories. You get dyslexia, you have all these different labels that people put on people. And then you also have the monetary thing. So it's like, 1% of the population was willing to do something that 99% of the population couldn't or wasn't willing to do. So regardless of the circumstances, do you want to be in the 1% or do you want to be in the 99%? Do you want to be like everyone else? Or do you want to be better than everyone else? Or do you want to be smarter than everyone else? Do you want to be more capable than everyone else? It's not just about the money, although money is a good thing to pursue, but you got to determine what it is that you want to do and not allow the fact that maybe you process the information a little bit differently to make you self-conscious or insecure. You have to stay focused on your strength. Being different is a strength. You could say that being different makes you better. 6, how can I do it better and faster? Oftentimes success is, how can I do the same thing that someone else is doing, but how can I do it better and do it faster? Can I reduce the friction, or can I cut down the timeline that it's going to take to accomplish it? That same principle can also be true with friends. You know, if I have a friend that's talking to me or talking to someone else and the other person's like, well, why don't you call me in a week, or this solution, you do these 12 steps over the next 12 months and next year you'll have this better outcome. Or if I'm like, I can take your call right now. If you do these 2 things, that should make a significant difference in overcoming the issue that you have. Well, the advice I'm giving him is more valuable than the other advice because he can implement it right then. And if he's getting the same result or a similar result, if you reduce that friction, it's making it more valuable. It's so important that we think about things and we try to just cut out the bottlenecks and just cut out the delay in how we're doing things. I want to help my family. I want to help my friends. I want to help the people that look to me. I want to do it as quickly as possible because I want to add the most value I can to the people that I love and the people that I help. 7, try to be more patient. So you can say, well, you just talked about doing things fast and more productive, which is true, but it's unreasonable to think that you're going to go from $1 million to $100 million in 1 year. So you have to understand that there's a process that you have to go through to build to get from 1 million to 100 million, or from one friend to 1,000 friends, or 1,000,000 friends. And you got to understand what that process looks like. You also, in your relationships and dealing with people, you also have to understand that there's a time to offer advice, and there's also just a time to listen, and there's a time for pushing hard and loading up your back and doing hard work that needs to be done, and then there's a time for reflecting and analyzing and trying to figure out the best way to evaluate, or the best way to accomplish the job. You have to evaluate that. You can't overload your back so much that you just collapse and you just fall on the ground, because that's not productive and you won't be fast. So there's an element of patience that's kind of woven through all the different aspects of this. In Ecclesiastes, it talks about, there's a time for work, there's a time for rest, there's a time for peace, there's a time for war, and there's a time for business, there's a time for family, there's a time to go on vacation, there's a time to work harder. And you have to recognize the season that you're in and the time that you're in. Generally speaking, if you're watching videos on YouTube, you probably should be working more and trying to accomplish more and trying to add more value, because the people that are already on the other side of this, they're on their yacht somewhere. And so you may take moments of reprieve, but most of the time you need to be pushing hard. You can do more than you think you can. These are some of the principles that have helped me in my life and have helped me find success. Honestly, when I sat down to put pen to paper, it took a minute to be able to verbalize or write out exactly what it was. So you have principles and strategies that you live by. You just may not be able to articulate them. So I challenge you to write those down, understand how you see the world, because some of them will be good. So listen to this, rewatch it, see what it is that can help you. Make a note in the comment about what's been the most impactful, what's helped you, and just try to make your life better. Try to embrace the uniqueness of who you are, while also understanding that there's probably things about you that you need to change as well. So don't be discouraged and push hard into the things that you want to accomplish.